The BAR presents a behind-the-scenes reading of Operetta by Stack Shock, along with all of its bloopers and content. Octavia stood there for a moment, eyes closed, thinking back to her very first concert. On this very stage she had performed the day she had got her cutie mark. Her music had been well received, and had been that very concert that had earned Octavia her cutie mark. It pained Octavia to see that the blah 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 blah. Oh wow. Okay. Next time, probably read this over first before doing something like this. But hey, that's what film fiction's for. All right. Let's try that again. Operetta, written by Stack Shock. Octavia stood there for a moment, eyes closed, thinking back to her very first concert. On this very stage she had performed. Fuck my life. Okay. Octavia stood there for a moment, eyes closed, thinking back to her very first concert. On this very stage she had performed the day she had got her cutie mark. Her music had been well received, and it would be that very concert that had earned Octavia her cutie mark. I don't know why this guy wrote it twice all over. I mean, we get the idea. Okay, we get the idea. This concert gave her her cutie mark. Can we please move on here? Alright. It pained Octavia to see that the stage on which she had performed her single most important play had dilapidated to the point where Princess Celestia had decided to have the building removed. That bitch. Pardon my language. The walls, once lavishly adorned with golden chandeliers and crimson red curtains, how nice, were now only sparsely decorated, with everything of value having been removed. The occasional crack could be seen beneath the paint, confirming that the building's state of despair has gone on for far too long for it to be saved. Had gone on for too long. I don't know why I keep adding words to other people's stories. I do forgive myself for that, and I do apologize to the authors of these stories. The room itself, once filled with ponies from all over the world, come to see her play, was now cold and empty. Seats were torn, some even missing. If the stage itself had suffered from years of neglect, a gaping hole could be seen in the wooden planks, some of which would creak noisily if you tread on them. Not bad. The lights, too, had suffered plundering. Almost all of them were missing, the ones still present most likely broken. The memories of the night of Octavia's first concert were still fresh in her mind. Memories of shaking legs, false notes, nerves, and cringing onlookers. Not my kind of tea party, if you ask me. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Seeing the disappointment in the crowd had only served to worsen Octavia's nerves that night, causing her to forget what notes she should have been playing. Resisting every urge to run off the stage at that very second, Octavia had taken one deep breath, hoping that it would calm her down. It had worked, thankfully. She had calmed down, and had started over. The piece had flowed easily that time, the cascading melody soothing the crowd and easing even Octavia's own nerves. The crowd had started smiling, and so had Octavia. Seeing ponies enjoy her music was all Octavia could have ever wanted. Makes so much easier sense for me to add on words, but I got to keep reading it as to the story script, as to the actual story. Okay. What was it? Oh, that's it. Octavia. Motif, modulation, repeat until satisfied. She had thought to herself as she kept lowering the key at which she was playing to end the piece. Little did she know that as she kept playing, a mark appeared on her flank. That evening had turned into a great success, almost all of the praise having been directed toward Octavia and her cello. I love saying cello. 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 Knowing that ponies enjoy her music was why Octavia had decided to continue playing. Knowing that at least one crowd had loved her and her music, if only for a few minutes, is what had kept her going all this time. Seeing the crowd smile as the melody she was producing caressed their ears. Ugh. Sometimes I have difficulty saying big words like that. I know it's easy for you, but I don't speak. It's easy for you guys to read it, but to me, it's difficult saying it while recording, which is why it takes several takes for me to do just one audio reading, and that's for just a short story. Imagine if I did a big story like Past Sins. Oh God, that's going to kill me. Okay. She was producing caressed their ears was magical. Magic. For lack of a better word, and now the stage on which that had first happened was being torn down. How sad. Days she had spent playing in the street, trying to collect enough money to save the building, but it couldn't be done. The building had been neglected for too long, and the cost of its repairs rising well into the thousands of bits. Octavia may be a high-class musician, but even she couldn't afford the repair. So, grasping her bow and cello and shaking hooves, she stood on a completely darkened, dilapidated stage, ready to play on that very spot one last time. It would only be fitting, she thought, to play the very first piece she had ever played in public on that very stage. After taking a deep breath to steady her nerves and hoof, Octavia started to play, closing her eyes to concentrate on her music. The melody flowed easily. Octavia had always remembered it, playing it regularly for nostalgia's sake, as well as practice. The notes echoed through the empty building, with only the pony responsible for them able to hear their sound. The piece was a short one, as she had to memorize it when she was just a filly. Opening her eyes halfway through the piece, Octavia stared into the auditorium. As she had started to play once again, the very night she had been remembering seemed to repeat itself. The room, empty just moments before, was suddenly filled with a crowd bigger than Octavia had ever seen, each and every one of the ponies seeming familiar somehow. The walls, previously in a state of complete disrepair, looked like they had been recently painted. Even the chandeliers had returned, candles alight and flames dancing to Octavia's music. I have to give you props for such imagination. I mean, even I have to applaud you for that. Well done indeed. Anyway, Octavia smiled, happy to see that she had managed to amass such a crowd, and happy to see the building in its full glory once again. She poured her heart and soul into her cello, and it responded. A melody unlike any she had ever played before flowed into the room, every single pony in the crowd closing their eyes so as to better hear it. Okay, you kinda... just so as to better hear it. Interesting choice of words there you got there, buddy. Okay. Closing her eyes as well, Octavia continued to play, never stopping to think about what note next to play. Her hooves took on a life of their own as they danced across her instrument, creating a powerful crescendo. Crescendo, that's it. Hey, don't blame me. I don't know musical terms, so I'm just going as I can, okay? Octavia revealed reveled in the music, unsure of where or how she had played the melody before, if at all. This was what Octavia played for. With her piece finished, Octavia opened her eyes once more. One more, but a few spelling grammar issues in here, but not that bad. With her piece finished, Octavia opened her eyes once more. The crowd she had been playing for had vanished, the building too reverting to its previous state. The disappointed was bearable. Disappointed? I think it's disappointed. The disappointment, that's it. The disappointment was bearable, for Octavia already knew that what she had seen couldn't be real. It was just a part of that magic, she thought. Deciding that she hadn't yet had enough time to part with what she thought would be the most important stage she'd ever get to play on, Octavia picked another melody to play. A nocturne, she thought, would suit the occasion. As she set her bow to her cello once again, the melody she played was a slow one, all tones play within the lowest key possible to accompany her mood. Legato, Octavia, she thought to herself, her music still flowing effortlessly. Meh. She had never been able to shake the habit of guiding herself through her music, and had eventually accepted it as what set her apart from other musicians. Throughout the piece, Octavia couldn't help but smile as she remembered some of the many performances she and her cello had been through, all of them only made possible by the one she had mimicked just moments before. Borrowing notes from all the pieces Octavia could remember playing, she kept going. Running out of concertos to mimic, Octavia decided that she wouldn't end the evening on a somber tone. One piece after another she played, every single one of them starting optimistically, but ending on an even lower key than the previous piece had. Fighting back her tears, Octavia looked around the room, smiling to herself. The theatre being torn down was a tragedy indeed, but she'd always have her memories, and she was thankful for that. Once again, setting her bow to her cello, Octavia looked around the room as she played. Row upon rows of seats could be seen, yet none of them were occupied. A major key, she noticed, echoed around the room, a fast, energetic melody, as though she was trying to play for a room of dancers. For a brief moment, Octavia thought she detected a hint of a waltz, but as her hooves took on a life of their own once again, she remained lost in the melody. Note after note she played, never seeming to end her piece. Whether she was extending her piece on purpose, Octavia didn't know. All she knew was that the piece was among the most beautiful she had ever played, and no pony was around to hear it. Finishing her last piece, Octavia stretched the note, finally realizing that she didn't want the piece to end. She wouldn't just be ending the piece, she'd be losing a place very dear to her. Even good things have to end, Octavia. One final stroke across her cello, and the music stopped. The auditorium fell silent, save for the sound of Octavia's hooves as she went to pack her cello. A tapping sound resounded around the room, the tears Octavia had been fighting back, landing on her cello. She'd never forget this building, now the site of two of her most important concerts. Picking up the case now containing her cello, Octavia made for the exit. She took one final look around the room, then closed the door behind her. Okay, so there you have it. This was behind the scenes for Brony Audio Readings, and if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment in the box below. Well, feel free to leave a comment below. If you want to see more of this, if you actually want to hear a professional sounding version of the story, either like this or either subscribe or comment. Either one works. I'd prefer comments. I mean, I don't mind subscribers, but it kind of gives more it kind of raises expectations. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes, and a more professional version of Operetta will come out eventually, depending on the time I have in college and all. So yeah, have a good night.